Now then, it's me again, the Yorkshire Bike Mechanic. Welcome to another YouTube video with a little bit of a difference, because today, see if you can guess where we are. So we're here in Geneva to do a few things, but firstly I want to explore the commuter system, the bike scene in Geneva centre. Now, Geneva is said to be probably one of the most friendly cycle cities in the world. They reckon that riding into work lessens your journey by about 25%. Now, it's difficult to say how many bikes there is in Geneva, but as you can see behind me, there seems to be a mix of mopeds or scooters and cycles, probably about 50% of each. But it would appear that most people use cycles to commute through the city and to work. I think that's mainly because there's nowhere to park. So I think it's easier and quicker and certainly cheaper if you're going to ride in on your bike. In the outer centre or the outskirts around the lake, there's some dedicated cycle routes that are away from the traffic. They're really wide, and as you can see, there's room for 2 or 3 bikes on them, and they're well away from traffic, and there's a solid concrete or granite curb away from the cars themselves. And there's a lot of these cycle lanes, and Geneva want to increase these cycle lanes, but in the city centre it can be quite daunting, and watching them in the city centre kind of frightens the pants off of me. I have been offered a ride on a bike in the city centre, but to be honest, I'm not so sure whether I'd like it, and I'm not familiar with the road, so I have to say no. And I think probably that's the wise thing to do. So if we walk through, these are like dedicated bike parks for bikes and mopeds and scooters in the city. You can see them all. There's loads and loads of them all lined up. People have kind of come on the train into the city centre, or they've ridden in from the outskirts and parked the bike up and walked into the centre to wherever they work. But apart from these little bike places, there's also like secure parking that you can pay for. And although it's not full, there's quite a few bikes in there. And I'm guessing that if you've got an expensive bike and you want to keep it safe, then that's probably the best place to put it. There's another cycle park here. As you can see, even more and more, and there's loads of these all over the place, a mixture of all sorts of bikes. We've got electric bikes, we've got folding bikes, we've got some right wrecks. We've got a mixture of all sorts of bikes, some expensive ones and some not. But generally you can see they're basically all commuters. That's what they're here for, they're just commuting to work. But there's loads of them everywhere. But also, this is the headquarters of the United Nations. It's the centre of watchmaking fantasy. If you fancy a Rolex or a Breitling, then this is the place to come if you can afford one. A glorious place. Fantastic place. So the other thing that I've watched about riding in the city centre is there's a mix of buses and trams. Now the trams, although they're electric, and you can see one coming round corner here, you can see that they run on rails. And the frightening thing about riding your bike here is these bloody rails. Because if you get your front wheel in one of them, you're off for sure. You're never going to get out, and you're going to go over bars, or you're going to come off, definitely. This is quite a common occurrence, and people in the city centre unfortunately get the front wheel stuck in these tram lines, and that's it, they're off, and there's quite a lot of damage done to yourself and your bike. So let's go find a bike shop. There's one a little bit further in town. I know it very well. It's a massive bike shop, and see if we can blag us way in and we can have a look round. And just opposite us, we've got one of the best bike shops in Geneva. It's called Hot Point, and it's a big shop, as you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a walk in, and we're going to try and get an interview with one of the mechanics, and we'll take a look around. Let's go, let's see. I'm sure we'll get a good welcome. Let's wait and see, yeah. Now this is one of the biggest shops in Geneva selling bikes, and they specialise mainly in commuter bikes, but look at that bad boy. Look at that, it's a right cargo bike. Meant for trekking stuff around. Let's have a wander around, I'm sure they won't mind. Let's have a look. See what we've got here, look at these pivots. Wow. Something that we don't see too much in UK. A good old Yeti there, SB 140. What a lovely bike. I've had a couple of Yetis and they're really nice. Let's go see what's over here. Well, all these are mainly commuter bikes. But you can see, obviously, the Gates belt system and the roll-off hub. Absolutely amazing. You can see the difference, mainly commuters, and nearly everything's belt. Obviously the lower end, which you can see there, the budget hardtails. Good old chain. You see the Bergamont. The Bergamont is a big, good brand here. Very, very popular. And then we go on to, look at that bad boy. A Bueno or a Beno, whatever you want to call it, with a Bosch motor in there. And here we are. This is a bad boy. Look at this. The Flyer with an MGU motor in it. Pinion, belt driven. What a lovely colour. Like blue, like a deep blue. And there's another one there. Like a mustardy coloured one. But you can see most of these are kind of city commuter bikes. Obviously we've got the like city bikes, a bit like a fixie, but obviously with gears on. And you can see, it's a massive shop. Absolutely massive. Let's see if we can grab a word with one of the mechanics. I'm sure they're going to have a word with us, because one of them is my son. Yes, Matthew, who's been here about 10 years, lives in a little place called Verrier. Let's go see if we can find him. So here we are. Let me introduce you to this lad here. This is Matthew. And guess who Matthew is? Matthew is my son. The trial prodigy of the Yorkshire bike mechanic. A Yorkshireman in Geneva. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I used oat milk in my brew so they kicked me out.
Do you have Bovril? Do you put Bovril on your crumpets?
I have.
And he's married a lovely Italian girl called Altea, and he's got a lovely son called Noah. So this looks a beast of a bike. Tell me what you're working on and what you're actually doing with it.
So this is a Beno bike. It's a cargo bike. As you can see on the back, they've got a couple of kids' seats, so it's used to take the kids to school, pick them up, do a bit of shopping in here. And if you look on the back, it's got a number plate, which means it's a fast bike which goes up to 45 kilometres an hour.
Oh yeah. Wow.
And what's happened is the brake light on here is not working. So when you pull the brake levers, it's not lighting up to tell the people behind that you're braking. But we don't know why. So we have to take all the motor out. Because all the wires are all the wires are inside.
Okay. So you said it's got a number plate on and it's a fast bike. What does that mean and why? I mean, I know you say it's got a number plate. Obviously, it must be insured or it must be kind of registered or something. What's the score with that?
So there's two types of e-bikes. There's ones that you don't need a number plate on, and they're limited to 25 kilometres an hour.
Right.
And then there's these ones which you do need a number plate for, and they can go up to 45 kilometres an hour. And with that number plate, you have insurance. So when you buy the number plate, you pay, I think it's 80 Swiss francs for the year. And within that 80 Swiss francs for the year, you get a civil responsibility insurance. So if you knock anyone off or do any damage to someone's wing mirror on the car, you're kind of covered for it, basically.
So how old do you have to be to ride? Presumably then there's a slower bike.
Yeah.
What's with the slower bike then, and who can ride them?
So the slower bikes, the 25 kilometres an hour, you can ride one of them if you're above 14 years old. And if you're above 14 years and not old, you need kind of a provisionary license, if you would like. Like what you'd use to ride a mobilette around or a 50cc scooter. Right. And then from 16, you don't need a license at all for them ones. Right. But you do have to be 16 and over and with a valid license to be able to ride the fast ones, the 45 kilometres.
All right. Okay. So it's quite strict then.
Yeah, it's quite strict, and rightfully so, to be honest, because it's becoming more and more popular. Cities becoming more and more busy. Yeah. People all over the place, and even if it's not your fault, it might be someone else's fault that steps out and you hit them. Right. So it's in my opinion, just don't try and cheat the system and chip it or not put a plate on it, because it'll come back and it'll bite you, I think.
So in terms of the difference between a fast and a slow bike, is the de-restriction done at the manufacturer of the bike?
Exactly. So Bosch will produce one motor. This is a this is a cargo line, so a performance line cargo, but Bosch will produce a performance line whatever. Right. And that motor will be the same if it's 25 kilometres or 45 kilometres. All right. But they will rewrite the coding or do whatever is necessary to authorise it to go to 45 kilometres. Right. And that is between the manufacturer of the bike and the manufacturer of the motor. So in this case it'd be Bosch and Benno. And Benno would have to, before they put the bike into production, do what's like, I guess you'd call it like a very strict MOT. All right. To say that it passes all the tests, that it meets all the EU regulations and everything is correct for that bike to be sold to the public at a rapid 45 kilometre version, basically.
Right. And how long has the law been like that then? So, and do people generally comply with it?
Yeah, I mean, people comply with it because, I mean, what is it, 80 francs a year to be correct.
Oh, right, so, so it's not a massive cost.
No, compared to what things cost in Switzerland, obviously. I mean, 80 francs a year, people do pay it. Yeah.
My question would be though, I mean, these streets are quite narrow, so, and there's quite a lot of traffic here, so at 45 kilometres an hour is quite a fast speed to go on these little roads. Are people kind of, what are the benefits of that?
I mean, it depends where you live actually, because when we sell a bike we always ask the question, where do you live? Right. Because if you live within a 5 kilometre radius of the city, it's not worth getting a fast 45 kilometre bike. A 25 kilometre bike, that's fine. Right, okay. But if you live like where I am, which is 7 kilometres out, you have to pick the kid up from the creche, you have to do the shopping, you have to run around. It does make all the difference to be that little bit faster.
Yeah, and I'm guessing if you use it at home and you live in a rural area, then that's a benefit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, and you notice a difference when you start using one, living a bit further out where you work or live.
Brilliant. And what do you work on most? What's the main issues that you find with the bikes that you work on? I mean, do you ever kind of get to work on like, you know, a real downhill bike, or because Morzine's not far from here?
No, I mean we do have the pleasure of working on some nice top-end mountain bikes.
Yeah.
But also this is kind of the bread and butter of what we do, because people commute to work. I mean, Geneva's horrible to drive a car in.
Yeah.
You're always stuck in traffic, and it's just so much better and so much easier to ride a bike everywhere. So commuting bikes, cargo bikes, electric bikes are our bread and butter. But we do work on, you know, your pivots, because we're a seller of pivot, Yetis, and some nice stuff as well.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. And you've got two other mechanics over there.
Yeah, well, we've got an apprentice, young Adam. He's not in today.
Right.
Dean over there is from Birmingham. He's my English colleague.
Right.
And the older chap over there is just doing like a little, I don't know what you call that in English, work experience.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
No worries.
Let's talk a little bit more about the bus travel around Geneva. It is super clean, as you can see there. There's not a speck or a little bit of litter anywhere to be found. And if a bus is due to be there at 1 minute past 1, it's going to be there at 1 minute past 1. They are super good at the timetable side of it. You buy a ticket from the machine. There's loads and loads of these scattered about. They're really easy to use, and it's about 3 Swiss francs around Geneva. The tram service is just about the same, super clean, easy to find, easy to get around on. The main train service, the main train station, is absolutely, again, it's massive and spotless. The train that you can see on the right hand side is an Italian train. It's a fast train, and that one's on its way to Milan from Geneva. So you can get all over the world from this particular train station, and again, they run on time. This particular train is one that I caught from the airport back to Geneva. It's a double-decker, and again, it's absolutely spotless. You can tell it's super clean, really nice to ride on.
Fribourg, Bern, route Cern, and wishes you a pleasant journey. Next stop, Geneva.
If you find yourself a little peckish while having a roam around Geneva, then there's a place called Manor. Now, Manor sells everything food-wise, from world foods, from Singapore, from Thailand, pizzas, salad, you name it, they do it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm staying in this little B&B at the bottom of this road. It's overcast today, it's quite chilly and cold, but it gives me a chance to kind of just explain what someone said to me earlier today. They said to me, would you like a little bit of a personal trip around Cern? And I went, bloody would I? Crikey, of course I would. But then I'm thinking, how's this going to fit in with my videos to reason why I'm here? It's meant to be about bikes. So they've said, don't worry, because it will be of interest in what you're trying to do and what you're trying to show people. So I thought, oh, this is intriguing. I'll go. And just to let you know, this is what happened. Keep watching. So for those of us who really don't know what Cern does, Cern is the European Council for Nuclear Research. It studies the fundamental particles that make up matter. Cern's research helps us understand what the universe is made of and how it works. So in a nutshell, that's what Cern does. But a lot of people don't know that the internet was invented at Cern, along with the MRI machines and the CT machines that we see in hospitals today. Cern had a massive part in the development of those really important machines that save a lot of people's lives in today's society. Right, this is amazing because you've seen me get on the tram in Geneva. Because I'm at Cern. It's amazing. I've been invited back to Cern by someone who's a friend of a friend that works at Cern. And so he said, come and have a look around Cern. I thought, I can't believe it, how lucky is that? He's going to take me around Cern. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce you to this really, really nice person that's showing me around Cern. His name's Joel, and he's going to tell you what he does at Cern.
Hello, I'm Joel. So I'm a computing technician and I work in the data centres of Cern.
Joel tells me that there's a bike workshop in Cern. I'm thinking, why is there a bike workshop in Cern? This place is associated with everything but a bike workshop. So let's go and have a look at these bikes. But look what we've found outside. E-bikes. Why have we got e-bikes at Cern?
So e-bikes are used by the staff of Cern to get around. So at Cern we have many different sites, and it's a green initiative to help with mobility.
And how many is there?
Oh, I think there's probably going to be close to 100 in the summer. So in the winter they do reduce the fleet a little bit just because they're not as useful, but about 100.
That's amazing. It's a brilliant use of
Yeah,
e-bikes. It is.
Yeah.
Now we've been lucky enough, hopefully, we're going to go in this workshop and we're going to do a little bit of filming if we can, which is like, and I never expected to be able to do this. This is the least thing that I expected to do coming to Cern, so let's go inside. Okie doke, so this is the cycle workshop at Cern. Can't believe it, it's mad is this. So this is the office that they use, that they also fix and manage repair cars here. So they look after the bikes for Cern, and I'm going to take you into the workshop to meet one of the bike mechanics. So this is very similar to our bike mechanic shop at work. Obviously they're a little bit better organised than us because you can see all them batteries charging up on the wall, the workshop bench, and look, a park tool stand just like ours in the shop with two bikes in it. So let's see if we can grab a word with the mechanic. Here we go. Right, so hello, hi, my name's you know my name's David. What's your name?
I am Benjamin.
Benjamin, and what's your job here?
I am a bike mechanical.
A bike mechanic. Right,
yeah.
okay.
And I do other stuff to plan, to take care of the cars and the bikes of the Cern.
Okay. So you look after Cern's electric bike systems. Yes. Okay. And in terms of the bikes themselves, I notice that these are mainly commuter bikes, aren't they? For commuting, to get around Cern.
Yes.
But I've noticed that they've got a Bafang motor in.
Yes. Bafang motoring and a lock.
Right, okay.
You can lock the bike.
That's a little, yeah, okay. Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so you need the card.
I can do it with a card, and people do it with a phone.
Right, okay.
The cell phone.
Right, okay. That's amazing. And do you get any problem with Bafang bikes? Do they kind of work okay most of the time, or have you got issues with them?
Yes, some issues with the lock.
With the locking mechanism, right? Okay. Okay. In what way? It just doesn't work sometimes?
Yes, sometimes the battery is low and doesn't work. So
right. Okay.
we have to charge it manually.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. And do you enjoy your job?
Yes.
How long have you worked here?
It's 2 years now. Yeah.
2 years, and you enjoy it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's brilliant to meet you. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to us. Yeah. And amazing. Thank you. Well, it's sad to say that my trip in Geneva is coming to an end. I've enjoyed every minute of my time here. I've walked around about 30 miles and my legs are dropping off and I need a rest. So I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have making it. Please come to Geneva. It's a brilliant place. You'll enjoy every minute and you won't be disappointed. So, on that note, I shall say toodle pip, and don't forget, we've got some new merch in the shop. Please buy some, it supports the channel and it helps us make good videos like this one. Toodle pip.